Time for another Game Theory video. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. People wonder, I guess, more of my thoughts on the beta, whatever. And again, I'm not a person with hot takes, so is there anything different than I haven't already said? I think it shows that, you know what I mean, these endlessly beta testing games is bad, because I would assume, like most people, the game looks pretty competent. I can tell you, I didn't even bother watching that much footage because I'm kind of bored, to be honest with you. It's like, just release the game. I mean, did anyone look at the game? And, you know, every game is going to be different. That's why I would say there's no perfect game. You know what I mean? Every game is going to have its own good and bad. And that's why you need to be able to, you know, which game has the good outweighs the bad for you, whatever, right? But, you know, Street Fighter 6, like I said, the game looks competent, right? So I just think, what is the point of, you know, the game not being released for another 6 months or whatever it's going to be? The game is already 5 months old. I was already able to predict the game in the first place, like all these other games. Like I said, I still can't get over the fact that I watched 5 seconds of footage. I guess probably literally, what, maybe 30 seconds if we're being literal or something, whatever. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, you know, looking at this, I wonder, I want to see how fast the whiff drive parry to rush green Slimer thing is, because I'm wondering if that's optimal and how much you can combo that. No one was doing any of that whiff drive rush parry shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, that looks like that's probably pretty good for combos. And Jesus fucking Christ, was that an understatement? Because it's the entire fucking Twitter, and it became boring. It's like, wow, I guess it just, no one just wanted to try that. Max and all those guys getting, and the funniest thing is, like, some of the guys even follow me. That's the craziest thing. You follow me and you guys were getting invited to play the game and you just didn't try that. Anyway, there's still, of course, other stuff that I didn't see. Like, I can't believe I didn't see a single person try the fucking, some of those potentially more things to glitch out the game. And there's some other here and there things, you know, like multi-hitting moves, cancel the first hit, whatever. Watch the fucking videos. You know what I mean? I guess some people did say they did try the jumping thing, and jumping no longer works. So, because I looked back and I looked at footage early on, and I see character jumping off of the green rush. So I guess, was that just taken out? But anyway, again, the game looks how I said. Like I said, the whole tug of war between, it looks like a tug of war to me. You know what I mean? With the way that the drive gauge works. You know, it's a gender fluid system.
Top or bottom, you can go both ways. The fluidity of the system.
You know what I mean?
Transgender-like system, fluidity, non-binary system, offense and defense.
You know what I mean? And like I said, the drive impact thing, like I said, I always said, you know, right from the get-go, to me it looks like, you know what I mean, it's not a question of if you can react to it, it's a question if you have anything to react to it with, meter-wise, because of the way, you know, the way to counter it requires your own meter. So it's, again, the tug of war of the game and the burnout stuff. You know what I mean? How much meter do you want to use? Blah, blah, blah. It looks interesting. I still fucking hate EX moves. You know what I mean? I like the idea, like I said, that supers, it gives chances for supers to always feel special, because I feel like supers don't feel special enough, and it's one of the problems of video games now. You know what I mean? One of the few problems of Guilty Gear, so to speak, especially when I think about a game that has a lot of goodwill. When I think about a game like Guilty Gear has a lot of, you know, Guilty Gear is not a perfect game, of course, but Guilty Gear, you think about those old games, that supers aren't maybe useful enough. They don't feel special enough, I don't think, considering how useful so many other ways are to use meter. So I think the idea that the super meter is different than all these other ways to use it keeps supers, makes them, you'll always see them and they always feel special. Some of them are kind of obnoxious in the game, you know what I mean? Like, they're a little bit long-winded, I agree, but I do think it's nice to see supers being used, right? Again, I hate fucking EX moves. The EX moves, I fucking hate EX moves because it's an excuse to make the normal version of the move not good. So I've said this before, I wish, with the system they're using, I wish they just would have had just EX, whatever the fuck they call it in Guilty Gear. What do they call it in Guilty Gear? What are EX moves called in Guilty Gear? Whatever the case, it's not just like hyped up versions of a move, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, Ryu doesn't need the fucking thrust kick. Just give him his EX move as the thrust kick. That'd be fine. And maybe make the he has the fucking palm strike thing now. He has the fucking palm strike whatever. Maybe you could make that a EX move or some shit like that. You know what I mean? I just hate fucking EX moves. EX moves in the sense that they are just a hyped up, more powerful version of the move, right? You know, I wouldn't mind just like different kind of versatility of moves. Like, again, just having a thrust kick that isn't an EX move. You know what I mean? Whatever. But, whatever, dude. Yeah. And I don't like that so many moves hit characters ducking. I think it makes the game I think it makes characters not feel special. It makes the characters feel more homogenized when every character has pokes that, you know, attack you or hit you when you're ducking. I think it's more fun for there to be a little bit more character variety. Oh, this is the poking character. They have more pokes that hit you ducking and all this kind of stuff. But again, it's just a fucking problem of, you know, geez, man, no close normals, no proximity normals. So inevitably you have these moves that function multiple ways as pokes and as cancelable attacks and everything. I fucking hate that shit. I think it's bad. But, yeah, and like I said, I'm still kind of worried about like the green drive rush stuff. It's kind of fun, but it does kind of worry me. Like I said, oh, this was kind of fun at first, and then I saw, you know, Guile doing the overhead, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's just gonna be is just gonna be drive rush to my overhead, my low, or my throw mix up or DP kind of thing, you know, with some random drive impacts. I'm like, ah, man, I really hope everyone doesn't use the system in the same way, but maybe that's just an inevitability of the game, I guess. Maybe video games in general when you have a system, but I mean, for what it's worth, I think the system it's interesting. It's something different. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like I said, the game seems competent already. I don't know why they just don't release this shit. You know what I mean? Because it already feels old and stale to me, to be honest with you. It's just, and it's 6 months from now when it finally comes out and be like, damn, this game is a fucking year old. You know? Anyway, but it is what it is. You know, like I said, even, you know, I think back to Street Fighter V, you know? Street Fighter V, again, it's not like I hated Street Fighter V, but Street Fighter V took so long to come out that I was bored of that game by the time it came out. And then people probably forgot I played a little bit of Street Fighter V, and just I got bored of it because it was already, by the time it came out, it was like, man, I've already, you know, people, I wasn't making as many YouTubes back then, you know what I mean? But I have made many videos, and I used to post on the forums about how Street Fighter V was going to turn out and what game I thought it was going to be, and I was right about Street Fighter V as well, dude. I was like, you could see the writing on Street Fighter V on the wall as well. I'm like, man, I actually always thought that Street Fighter V, when I saw them originally making that game, except for the first beta, which wasn't even a beta, the first footage of the game was totally radical. You know what I mean? Had a lot of different stuff that ended up not being in the final game with all the juggles and all this other shit. But, you know, Street Fighter V, it, you know, besides, again, that first footage, I was like, oh, man, you can see this game. And I was like, I would not be surprised if, like, what would it call? I don't know, let's call it, like, the battle plan or, like, the cliff notes of when they were making the game, the strategic meeting. If Street Fighter V was not a sort of alternate idea for, like, Tekken versus Street Fighter, right? Because you could see the game and I'm like, man, this game really looks like a Street Fighter that is trying to bridge that gap to bring in the 3D community, right? The 3D community that likes a lot of these overly pre-programmed moves, you know what I mean? This move will do this certain amount of stun. This is your combo move. Your mediums will always do this, you know what I mean? This kind of thing, oh, this is your counter hit move. This is your, like, you know, whatever. This is your go-to combo move. You know, the way that you tap in Street Fighter V, you know, the way that you poke, the super frame data, this, you know, mathematical side that the 3D sort of player tends to like more, you know, the Tekken sort of player, the Soul Calibur player, the Virtual Fighter player. You know, I'm like, man, you can tell right from the get-go, right from the very first footage, or very first non-first footage that no one got to play, right? I'm like, oh yeah, this looks like. I would not be surprised if this was another idea they had for Tekken vs Street Fighter, because you could tell it was still a Street Fighter game, but I'm like, wow, this is totally to bring in the 3D player. You know what I mean? To kind of like cross that, try to get both parties to enjoy a game, try to get the 3D player to play a still Street Fighter game just by the way it worked, you know what I mean? And look at the way it worked. You know what I mean? Of course, it's the most fucking God. I mean, you watch people play the game and you see people checking their phone. Oh yeah, this is this frame, this is frame, this. Okay, I'm ready. Blah blah. Oh, this is my move does this. So overly pre-programmed, cliff notes. You know what I mean? Just but not like I think Street Fighter 5 was a terrible game. It was just so fucking obvious, so to speak, right? And I was like, oh yeah, this is how this game is going to turn out, I still wish they would have done something. Oh yeah, like Street Fighter 6. God, I wish there was block damage without the fucking burnout thing. You know what I mean? But Street Fighter 5, man, I just of course I don't agree with how they changed DPs and everything eventually in the second version of the whatever championship. The second year, whatever, they changed DPs in Street Fighter 5, but I really wish they would have went more full blown with, I made that video about Street Fighter 5, how I wish they would have done chip damage and like the idea that you could maybe kill. Go watch those videos if you want to see those game theory videos. But overall, I guess what I'm getting at is, I've always said it before, Capcom, generally speaking, in more recent generations, so to speak, you could see like, okay, the game system is what it is. It's not terrible. I always feel like Capcom is the group that, generally their characters aren't as interesting, but if you compare to other series, like King of Fighters, well, maybe not more so in recent years, you know what I mean, but King of Fighters for so long, man, God, look at how they were reinventing characters, and the Guilty Gear Arc system work. They can still create character after character after character, and whereas Capcom has been the ones that are kind of sluggish with characters and being able to reinvent them in good ways. But then you think about, man, King of Fighters is just getting worse and worse with the series, and like the systems are becoming, just so god dreadfully awful and boring. And Guilty Gear is such a one step forward, two steps back now with Strive, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, there's something kind of cool here, but it's like, dude, we all know the characters are why people play Guilty Gear, and you just made it even worse with this game. You know what I mean? The character, just fucking Strive, dude. But Street Fighter 6, just like Street Fighter 5, for the time being, I think the system seems kind of, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It seems like the drive system, the tug of war, is kind of interesting for what it is. The drive impact seems kind of like the comeback factor, if you will, because it seems like doesn't matter the level of play, everyone can hit two buttons, and if you're not using the tug of war of your meter versus their meter, you know what I mean, you're gonna get, the meter management is kind of interesting. The EX move, I hate EX moves. Just put in actual kind of like Guilty Gear EX moves into that fucking system, right? Super still feels special. I don't like moves that hit you when you're ducking all the time. Make it feel special. Not every poke should be hitting you when you're ducking. It's boring. It looks obnoxious too. Like when I was watching, like you see characters just walking up and stand jabbing Chun-Li while she's ducking, and it looks weird because it's not even touching her and she's blocking it, and it just seems, it's weird. Anyway, point is, the game already seems competent. Will it end up being a good game or a bad game? I guess we'll see, you know what I mean, when more characters come. I actually have some other ideas about the characters in the game after hearing those voice messages that got leaked, but listening to the leaked voice messages was almost hurting my brain, listening to the announcers, but yeah. We'll see. I still have some other ideas for the game, but what's the point of posting it when half the time people don't even try, and then later the people that watch me say they found it, which is ridiculous. Come on. Remember, if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. Appreciate it. Thanks. The end.